In the last episode, we had gone through using some mission models, paint that I don't care for, and repainted this old T-3485 from Academy. In this part 2, we are going to finish the model, so that means we are going to do some chipping, some rust effects, some dust, whatever else is left over, I don't know. Starting from the top down, let's add some chipping. I'm going to use some dark gray as well as some Create Text matte varnish just to give it some protective layers. And then the next step is to take a small brush and just start putting some small dots and chips. It's a pain, I tell you. And it became so much of a pain that after, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, I was like, alright, I gotta do something different. So instead I grabbed an old bent airbrush needle and a stiffer-ish brush and dabbed some of the paint on there and just flicked it across the surface. I won't lie, I do struggle a little bit getting the correct angle of approach on these, but either way, this will work. I do apologize for the focus going in and out. I was above it, not below it, sideways, whatever. Not ideal. Either way, this is a good start for some random chipping here and there. We'll still have to go back and brush it, but at least it's not everything by hand. And really, because I wasn't paying attention and didn't notice the focus in and out, sorry, I'm just going to kind of gloss over this a little bit. So, afterwards we can take our brush and fill in some of the areas, add some more chips here and there, or just kind of make it look more natural. But that's not where we're going to end it. We're going to grab some light and dark rust washes and add some more color to it. Now, I'm not going to say I just slapped all of the washes on, but I kind of did. Yeah, that's fine. Luckily, we can always go back and take some mineral spirits and just quickly clean up any areas and generally make it smaller and nicer. And then after a quick matte varnish spraying, we can use some ammo shaders in a very small airbrush and just kind of add some panel lines or so. Moving down to the lower hull, we're going to give it the same treatment of flicking paint using the airbrush needle, and then going back and kind of touching up some areas, as well as we got to add some paint to the tracks that were welded to the front, as well as take care of the exhaust. And starting with the tracks, they get a little bit of a special rust treatment as they're meant to be really rusty, kind of nasty looking, because they get exposed to the elements and then they don't really get any wear to them, it's just elements. Either way, once we get those two items taken care of, we will end up with a lower hull that looks a little something like this. Maybe not perfect, but it'll work. And it too will also get some of those ammo shaders that we talked about before. These are going to be a little bit more pointed and a little bit more pronounced as they're lower down on the hull and there's more stuff to interact with. So areas around the exhaust, they're going to get hit with this. The intakes, the just general areas that like, oh, they're going to be stepped on in the turret ring as well. All these areas are going to get some level of this shader. Moving down to the final lower part, and that's the tracks, we're going to add some track wash. Since these tracks are rubber road wheels rather than some of these steel ones that like the KV series have, I'm just going to slap this wash all over and not try and get any polished areas that you would normally expect. There will be some that I'll do later on and I'll show that, but other than that, it's not much. So just to recap, let's put everything together, kind of give you a quick, hey, this is where we're at right now. So we have the turret with its rust washes and chipping, the hull that has the same, as well as some effects for the exhaust, as well as that track on the front, and then the lower tracks below have this nice rusty-ish wash on them. Now we still have some other washes to go, but for the most part this is going to be the rust section taken care of. I will also mention, be careful if you leave your bottles open on your desk. If you knock them over and spill them, it's not a fun day. I ruined a pair of pants and then my sweatshirt from this, so yay. Anywho, using some dark brown wash for green, as the label says, we're going to do some panel lines. If you've never done any panel lines before, the basic premise is to use capillary action to kind of wick the wash through these small lines and just kind of make them darker and a little bit more pronounced. So with a dab here, a little bit of a brush there, we're going to end up with a really nice dark recesses. I don't know where I was going with this. It'll look good. I think that's the end result. Just to keep things moving along kind of fast, or at least relatively fastly, question mark. We're going to go kind of skip over the turret. Same deal, nothing special. The tracks are going to get a similar treatment, except it's really just the center hub on the road wheel and then little bolt heads. But this means we can finally move over to some dust washes. These are going to be some earth effects and some light dust effects. When these washes go on, they're not going to look opaque or translucent, I should say. They're going to look very opaque, but when they dry, they do kind of come back to that transparent. So if it looks like, oh man, that's a lot, you just got to wait. In terms of applying them, I'm just going to do a ring around the inside of the road wheel, as well as all along the rubber and just a little bit towards the center. You want that little bit of a separation just to kind of show like, hey, it went through something, but it shook itself off. Shifting towards the tracks themselves, here's what the finished product will look like, and I'm going to show you how I got there. Starting with the light dust effects, we're going to go into the individual tracks, so try not to bleed across them, and just kind of, I don't know, you keep using the word slap it on there, but basically just brush on that surface. Then we can add some of the earth effects while it's still wet, just kind of as a random dab here and there to add some extra color. And then finally, because it kind of looks like it's a lot, I ended up just taking a paper towel and kind of dabbing it off. Shifting over to the lower hull, let's make some kind of rain mark effect. So I took some of the light dust effects and drew a line across the track covers right on the slope section of the lower hull, and then took a weird pointy, I don't know what happened to it, brush, and took that and dragged it upwards to kind of create these like tendrils, maybe, I guess is a good word. Effectively, it looks like the dust was washed down and pulled downwards. And so we'll take that and do it to all the other surfaces. So we already did the one side, so we'll do the other side, the front and the back. In some cases, it's a little bit tight, so you kind of have to go with whatever you can and just make it look okay enough. I also did the same thing below the track covers. It's not going to be visible, but it makes me feel better about it. On the turret, after adding a little bit of that light dust effect, very faint, you don't want to go too much because why would there be too much dirt or anything up there? I tried to recreate that, brushing or rain mark effects on the side of the turret. And yeah, because of the texture on the turret, it really didn't work out. I tried as best as I could, but it just kind of went everywhere with no like streaking patterns on it. So let's do some of the final finishing touches. We want to go over the vision ports with a dark gray. In this case, it'll be Panzer gray. And just because of how this is located and how small it is, I ended up starting to get my head in the picture as well as mess up the focus. So I do apologize for that. After getting both the vision ports above the driver's hatch as well as on the turret, I'm going to grab some insignia white and fill in the lamp section. Now, I'm not going to say this is my best work. I mean, reality is I should have taken off the clear plastic piece underneath all this paint, cleaned up the inside, and then put that back on, but I didn't do it, so it is what it is. Anyway, we're going to take a wet effects fluid and go over all the vision ports as well as the lamp to give them that kind of glossy glass look. Home stretch time, so we are going to take some super glue, put it on all the little running gear tabs that may or may not be cut off, and press on each side of the running gear, and then we're at the end. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna end it here. Some things I kind of regret. I didn't put any marking on the tank. Like, I was planning originally to be finished, that wasn't gonna happen. And then I didn't do any of like the traditional white stripe on the turret that's there. I just didn't do anything. So that's kind of a regret. Same with the lamp, but ultimately this was a fun project. Even using Mission Models paint, as much as I don't care for it, it still sprayed quite nice and Definitely had some good things to it. Don't know if I'll use it again in the future, but hey, whatever. Regardless, as this is the end, if you like what you see, please let me know by giving this video a like, or comment below if there's something you think I didn't do well, or whatever. I mean, I'm listening. As well as if you like what you see and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I've got some more content in the works. Next up is going to be another grenade, and then I'm going something large. Just going to be fun. Anyways, see you in the next one.